In this episode of The Tech John, we discuss YouTube opening the doors to banned users once again, high schoolers' romantic relationships with artificial intelligence, and we'll get into banned ICE-related apps and how ICE is using social media as a surveillance tool. We got all this and more for you in episode 198 of The Tech John from Columbus, Ohio. I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And coming out of Philly, it's your girl Tech Life Steph.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, a.k.a. Brother Tech, a.k.a. New camera who this. Finally, still in the search for the perfect podcast streaming camera, and I found that Elgato makes a 4K face cam. So I'm testing it out now to see how it does, see how it looks. I look about the same, but I still got to do a lot of tweaking to it because this one lets you do a whole bunch of other settings that me as a non-camera person have no idea what any of those settings are. So I got to play around and play with them, but testing some new gear here.
I can say that I liked whatever other camera currently without you doing any of the settings. I feel like
this?
Yeah, just looking at you in this 3-box, your other camera looked better to me.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I need to go make some changes.
So yeah, like I thought you might have had like
weird.
lights off or something like that. You know, didn't have any normal lights.
It looks a little dark and like for it to be and maybe that's just the way my machine is rendering you and you know presenting you to me.
It looks dark.
You look dark. Number one.
All right, so let me. I had to check. Maybe it's my lighting because I changed some lighting settings. So I'll be testing that during the podcast. So if you're watching, don't mind me.
Yeah. Now I don't want to say you look like Ashley Larry, but it is.
However,
your other camera, because you had that ZV,
right.
you had that ZV-1 or something like that, right?
It was an entry.
Yeah, that other camera was like super crisp.
Yeah, I think I need to play with the settings. I haven't touched the settings on this one, so I'm a what do you call it? Dial in the settings and then get back with you.
Yeah. So y'all, before we get into the show, I got a cool story. So a good buddy of mine, Chris Ashley, he started a food truck business last year or year before last. He's been running for a little minute now, called Barbecue and Tech. And, you know, he has a podcast for it. He and I and another friend of ours do, podcast together. Terrance has been on multiple times on that show when we was doing it regular. But the cool thing is that one of our patrons, Stephen Ewell, who is, we shouted him out just a few weeks ago for being, one of the founding 50, somebody's been rocking with us for years now, showed up to Chris's food truck wearing the Tech John t-shirt.
Nice.
So how cool is that? That he literally is in the DC area, goes by my boy's food truck with a t-shirt, repping us on at the food truck. Of course, Chris like, hey, I got to get a picture. So he got a picture and sent it to me. So as we have told many people before, if you get some swag that has the Tech John logo on it, our mask, our faces on it, send that stuff to us and we will post it on, you'll put it up on our Discord. We'll put it in our Patreon and so on and so forth. So you definitely let us know when you get stuff, send that stuff in. And you can do that by heading over to techjohn.com/shop. And we've got all kind of swag over there. So I just thought that was really cool that, one of our fans is out there wearing one of our t-shirts and went to go see another one of my boys just because he was in the vicinity and went to go check his food truck out and is repping us at the same time. So I thought that was real cool.
Super dope. Yeah. Super dope. Appreciate you. Appreciate the support.
Yeah. So y'all, I wanted to just as a quick hit, talk about Sora again. Cause this thing is, I'm feeling confident. When I said last week, I think this is going to be a top 5 social media platform inside 18 months. It is now the second fastest growing app on the App Store. And because it just missed ChatGPT, but I want to say 36,000 downloads because they opened up here and in Canada at the same time. And on the App Store, when ChatGPT first came out, it was only in the US and it beat it by, it was either 36,000 or 56,000 downloads in the first week. But this thing is pressing and moving on. The difference is that ChatGPT was open to everybody. This is still invite only. So you need to get an invite from someone to get into this. And the we will probably in a few weeks, I would imagine, be doing the downsides of tools like Sora, because there's a whole lot of hot mess that is happening with this tool, where people who have passed away, who their likeness is being used and is, upsetting to their families and this and that and the other. So there's a lot there, but this app is absolutely been crazy. I think it's up to 627,000 total downloads compared to ChatGPT 6,006, but that does include Canada, which ChatGPT didn't have, which was the fastest growing application of all time.
I mean, it's cute. Let's say anything, but I personally, I put it that way. I personally don't necessarily see myself spending an inordinate amount of time on an app of all AI generated content. Like, like I said, it's very interesting. People are very creative, and it's cute. I feel like this may just be that initial buzz and everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, and you know everybody wants it when you can't have it. So anytime you make something invite only and you need a code and all this other stuff, like everybody breaks their neck to try to be one of those first adopters of it, and finding code. I think about Clubhouse when it first started, and other apps like that are invite only at first. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I definitely think, to your point about Rob, it being like one of the next big social media platforms, I think it will find its place. I don't think it's going to displace any other platform. But I'm already kind of over it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I went on there, you gave me an invite code. I appreciate that. And I went on and I scrolled for a minute, and it's just.
So give me the breakdown again. I know you mentioned it partially last week, but when you say Sora as a social media platform, we think of all the things we can do in Instagram and videos and pictures and reels and stories, and you think of all those things. Can Sora, I mean, not the Instagram specific stuff, but this Sora social media network basically is a social media network to display any sort of artwork or movies or whatever that you can generate in Sora, is where people display and talk about these stuff socially. Is that what that is, or is it something different?
So think of it like this. Remember when TikTok first came out, and all you could do on TikTok was shoot a video and post a video. That was it. That was all that the tool did. Clearly, TikTok added feature after feature after feature after feature over time. But when it first came out, all you could really do was, and it wasn't even all kind of videos that were going. It was dance videos. Remember, our young folks was the ones out there that was killing it, creating these dance routines and this and that and the other, and putting it on TikTok, and then you had people stealing it and reposting.
TikTok was the evolution of an app called Musical.ly, and that's all they did on that app was do lip sync songs, dance, and that was it. And then it evolved into TikTok, and then as more people adopted the app, and now we have the TikTok we see today. But to your point, Rob, it used to be an app called Musical.ly, which that was literally all they did was lip sync and dance.
So you're saying, Rob, based on so give me the now of Sora. I know you're telling me where it's about to go or where you think it's going. What do you do if I was to log into Sora right now as a social media network, not necessarily a prompt tool to create videos, as a social media network? What can I do on Sora right now?
Look at people's 10-second videos that they've made with prompts
and comment,
okay.
Like, comment.
That's literally it.
But you're saying based on how TikTok started, based on how Instagram started, based on how Twitter started, the numbers that Sora is putting up compared to when those other ones started, the competition, air quotes, it's rivaling what TikTok and Instagram when they first started as far as app downloads. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's actually beating them. It's faster than everything technically in the United States except for ChatGPT, which is the fastest growing app in history.
And you're speculating that because of that, Sora is going to, and you're making the declaration that because it's so popular based on this real early look at it and the possibilities, that when finally they open up this social network, all people are going to be doing on this thing based on AI is going to rival all the people are doing on TikTok and Instagram. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
I'm not saying it like that. So I think that one of the things that people do is we like to compare things to other things, and there's a reason for that helps us stay alive. When you actually say, you know what, that animal's dangerous, I'm comparing this other animal that may not look exactly like that but is big and fast, it might be dangerous too. We make those kind of comparisons for self-preservation. I think when it comes to what's happening here is that we are comparing what Instagram is, what TikTok is, what Facebook is, what X is, what LinkedIn is. We're comparing all of these big social networks that we already know what they are to what this might be. And if we think back to TikTok, a lot of folks over 35 just didn't understand. It's like, so all I do is just create videos where I'm dancing and post them, and then people like them. And what else is there? I think that right now that a lot of folks are in that mode to where we don't know what this is. I do believe, however, that this social media thing is not going to go away. AI generated video is not going to go away. And I believe that OpenAI has put out something where, and I said this in a comment on YouTube earlier today, I believe it was, I think they got the hook right. They figured out something that is sticky enough to get people to, to interrupt them and, oh, let me go look at this. Oh, that's cool. Scroll. Oh, that's cool. Scroll. Oh, that's cool. So it's got that in spades because people are spending enormous amounts of time in this application. The social media stuff, the being able to DM and to be able to send people private messages and being able to like and heart and all that kind of stuff. That stuff is easy for these companies because they do have the other companies to look at. It's like, hey, if this is good on X, let's put it here. If this is good on Threads, let's put it here. OpenAI will get that. But what they got right out of the gate, in my opinion, is the hook. They got something that is really sticky that people are really, really out here raving about. And I don't see that slowing down when they open it up and allow everyone to get it. I don't see it slowing down when they open it up and let Android users get it. I think it's only going to pick up. And if it continues to just keep the pace that it has right now, it will be one of the bigger social media platforms in short form.
Well, one of the things I think that's going to make Sora popular is one of the headlines that came out literally today about OpenAI, and it's like literally all over the web. OpenAI says it will move to allow smut. So when that happens and those floodgates open, and I'm sure whatever ChatGPT is going to be allowed to do will propagate over to Sora as well. That is probably what is going to make Sora more popular than anything else we're talking about right now. Along with the fact that we got. Hopefully we'll get to it. We got a couple other stories down the rundown about young people and their attachment to these AI tools and avatars and things like that. I think those two things together, I don't think Sam Altman has any motivation other than to capitalize off of these young boys, especially who are falling victim to these tools, to make Sora another one of those tools that they gravitate towards. So between the manipulation of social media platforms doing what they do, I think Sora will follow. If they pick up on anything, Rob, they gonna pick up on how to manipulate people to stay on the platform for as long as possible. So between that and the idea that they are going to, relax their moderation standards in a way that allows for a lot more, different types of content, will probably put them over the top, more so than anything else.
We say this all the time. The internet is a wonderful, horrible place. It's just like, so it didn't even take a week because it was when we were talking about this last week, it only been out a few days and smut like things were already appearing. So the fact that they're just a week later going to say, oh, we're going to allow this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're cool with it.
that tracks. I would expect it.
We're cool
How
with
do
it.
how do we make all the money? We have to let this risque stuff on here. Okay, cool. We'll figure out the ramifications of it later if the law tells us that we have to.
Right. And only if.
But Terrance, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I'll wait and see. I think our attention spans are so short and I think we're already over indexed on social media, and this will be dope. But I just see these titans not letting loose or
And,
letting loose of their grip,
and
and they'll figure out always to add on or take from or whatever the case may be, and we'll better do the same thing on Instagram.
to be clear, when I say that I think this is going to happen, I'm not out here standing for it. I have not been on Sora since last week when we talked about it. It's like, okay, it's for me. It's like, oh, that's cool. I can do this. Cool. Now let me go back to my regular life. So I'm probably not the demographic for it. But as I look at these things, this just looks like, that's different, and it's sticky, and it caught me that first 4 or 5 days.
Sticky. When you say sticky, what do you mean?
It means that when I downloaded it, not downloaded it when because I don't have an iPhone, but when I actually got the account and actually started scrolling through it, it's like, oh, where did that 47 minutes go? I didn't even realize that I was in the app. I was just scrolling. I don't even have the ability. Well, I can create stuff, in there. Some people have actually said, they gave me my advice. Hey, I haven't seen you create anything. It's like, no, I'm just looking what other people have created. It's sticky. And it was that for me. And I'm certain that if I were to go look at stuff right now, I'd be like, ooh, that's cool. And I'd start doing the scroll and waste more time in it. But it is a sticky application. And my gut tells me that you will see Meta, because Meta's already tried this. Meta's implementation of their social media style tool, it's kind of flat. It didn't
You
do
know what
anything.
I see Sora becoming, and this this could be a thing. This could be a reason that I would go and use and engage with the app in any significant way. Remember Quibi? I could see Sora becoming an AI Quibi. I personally loved Quibi. I was very disappointed when it went away. I was paying my $8 a month for the subscription because I thought for anybody listening, Quibi was an app that did this vertical only sort of 6 to 8 minute episode content.
Very highly
And
produced. Very highly.
Very high, like LeBron James and old boy that he works with, his producing partner. They had a show on there about his Promise Academy that was actually really good. There were some really big names producing content for Quibi, like studio production level content for Quibi. So I was on that app regularly watching stuff. Like I said, super disappointed when it went away. I think it just didn't get the traction. People didn't want to pay for the content. Yes, Saray says short form episodic content. That's exactly what Quibi was. And it was very well done. I could totally see Sora becoming a place for AI generated episodic content because the production value will already be built in because it's so good. It's such a good tool already, so you're already getting sort of high production value. And depending on the sort of prompts, like now you can get into a whole storytelling. Once the videos can be longer than, what are they now, like 10 seconds or
10 seconds.
however long they are. Once the videos can be longer than 10 seconds, even if they're like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, you could absolutely make a case for Sora being an AI generated Quibi and have people, storyboarding out complete seasons of shows and making episodes, individual episodes out of characters. And we already got there's an AI actress that Hollywood's trying to ban. I forget her name, but she's been causing a lot of ruckus in Hollywood, an AI generated actress that just got signed, I think, to an agency. Timbaland just made a AI rapper, like an little Asian girl, AI generated rapper that's in a video with him rapping. So I definitely see the potential for Sora to go in that direction. In that case, I might be motivated. Like I said, I probably wouldn't pay because I'm sure there would be some tiered, subscription model where you had to pay. I probably wouldn't pay for it, but I could definitely see getting sucked into a show, an AI generated show on Sora, and going back to watch new episodes and stuff like that. So Sam Altman, if you're listening, You can have the idea, you know what I mean? If you want me to come on as a content, you know what I mean, consultant or anything like that, holla at your girl. But I could definitely see AI, Sora becoming an AI Quibi.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't see it because the minute they try it, everybody else gonna take it. That's what I'm thinking.
But you just have to
Yeah.
be the one to do it. You
Mhm.
got to be the one to do it first and do it better.
Yeah, I
Like I
think
said, I
these.
think their
Yeah,
tool is good enough now that they could get the traction they need before anybody else started going in that direction.
Yeah, I'm with you right there, Steph, because I believe that OpenAI can get the social media stuff right quicker than Meta can
Hmm.
get the AI stuff right. Because
Yep.
if that were the case, they'd already their AI would have been the hot thing to come out. It wasn't. It kind of came out and flopped, and nobody's using the Meta stuff that actually technically came out before Sora did. So, like I said, I'm not standing for it. I just think it's got the hallmarks of this thing could really, really blow up. So,
If we get an AI Quibi, I'm in. And Saray says competition would be healthy, which is good. I mean, I think, and that's probably where we're going. I mean, let's just keep it a bean. You know what I mean? Like everybody's using it. It's going to wreck our environment, but in the meantime, people are creating content now, even their own, using their own likeness and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's my prediction for Sora or for some other platform to capitalize off of that concept. But AI Quibi is coming.
well, talking about social media, video, and AI stuff. Let's actually talk about the big one, the big boy out here, YouTube, who still, for the most part, has actual real people creating the videos. But Terrance, you put a story in here about YouTube opening up the door for banned creators again. So what's going on here?
Yep. The company opened up a pilot program on Thursday, inviting YouTubers who were kicked off the video sharing site under now outdated rules to apply for a new channel. So basically, what they're saying is, think of like, I can't think of anybody. I can't think of anybody who was actually kicked off of YouTube that's like popular, but those people who have been kicked off, they can actually um, um, are eligible for a second chance. Notes that some types of channel terminations will stand, including bans for copyright infringement and for violation of its policies against abuse and violence off platform. Channels are eligible to be reinstated. We'll see an option to request a fresh channel on YouTube Studio over the next few weeks, according to the company. So I guess my question to y'all is, I mean, do we believe in second chances? Or is this once you're gone, you're gone? What is the over and under on allowing banned creators apply? They are not automatically come back. They've got to apply, and I'm pretty sure certain conditions apply. But once they get back, they're back. What do you stand on this?
So some of the conditions are that they were banned for things on YouTube that are no longer bannable offenses on YouTube. So if there's that caveat, it's not that you were banned for putting like crazy stuff. Not, it don't even have to be crazy stuff. It's just stuff that is against YouTube's terms and services, and is still against YouTube's terms and services. I don't think they're bringing those folks back. I think they're bringing back folks that you had been banned for something that is no longer against the rules, and we're going to allow those people to come back with new accounts, if I understand it correctly. Now I might be, maybe only looking at one of the verticals of who they're going to bring back, but if for those accounts, I want to be consistent in my stance on this. I don't think I have a problem with that if you were banned for something that's no longer a bannable offense. Because I would say this, I believe like in states where we've legalized marijuana and folks have those misdemeanors for not selling it, but for basically having it, possession of it, and your state now it's legal now, yet you still have a misdemeanor on your record for it. I think that those should be expunged as well. So I'll be consistent that if you did something that was illegal once but is not illegal now, that it may not be the same account but a new account, I don't think I have a problem with that.
Well, so
Unless
I was gonna
you got
say
banned for misinformation.
that's what I was about.
Mhm.
You beat me to it, right? It
I'm
says
like,
let me read this section. Since 2023, YouTube has also rolled back rules specific to COVID-19 and vaccine related misinformation, a fact the company highlights in a letter sent last month. YouTube quotes, YouTube continues to enable a diversity of perspectives and believes creators should openly debate political ideas on the platform, the company wrote in a letter. The new community guidelines allow for a wider range of content on those topics now, according to YouTube. And they go on to say YouTube values conservative voices on its platform and recognize that those creators have extensive reach and play an important role in civic discourse.
And in the
So
paragraph before that, they said YouTube is now backing away from the policies that include election denialism that happened on after January 6th. So the company said it was going to opt to sunset election misinformation rules to allow for discussion of, quote, possible widespread fraud, errors, or glitches occurring in the 2020 and other past U.S. presidential elections. So, that can go both ways, obviously, because, there are people that say, the person that won that election rigged it as well. So it can go both ways. But the fact that they're taking that away, to me, is a problem. And it kind of feeds into the larger conversation that we've been having, right? Like we just talked about smut being allowed on OpenAI's platform, and the president or the chief of Sora at OpenAI tweeted something about his team is working hard to keep up with surging growth, more features and fixes to over moderation on the way. So it just feeds into that whole idea that the guardrails are going to be off on all of these platforms, and we're going to have to be super careful. And the fact that copyright infringement is still a problem, but misinformation is not a problem at YouTube is a problem for me. So it just speaks to where we're going as a country and as a society, where all bets are off on all of these platforms.
Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head. Truth and false doesn't matter anymore. It is about
At all.
here's what matters now. What can I convince you of? Compared to what can I not convince you of? If I convince you that this thing that is absolutely objectively false is true, is it false? Well, yes, it is, but not in your mind. If you believe the thing to be true, then it's true. We used to call those things lies. We used to call those things untruths. We used to point that stuff out. I guess what we have determined is that no, that's not cool anymore. We don't want the truth to be actually what happened. We want the truth to be what we tell you it is. And my gut tells me is that whoever is in power of this place that we call the United States of America, for as long as we continue to call it that, will ultimately get to dictate what the truth is. It's what's happening. I hate to be that cynical, but I don't think I'm being cynical. This is what is actually happening right now.
It's just what is you just got to look at what it is, and again, the way these folks are falling in line behind our current administration policies,
one shape or another, one method or another.
Everybody just falling in line, and so it's just going to be a complete dystopia of nonsense on the internet.
So let me ask, let's try to look at this from the perspective of a CEO or business owner of one of these companies. Do we feel like they are just doing the bare minimum in order to, quote, make the administration happy? And then as soon as a new administration comes in, they're going to be like, oh, now let's redo some of the things we undid just to make this to keep this administration off our backs. Or are they using this administration and the stuff that's been going on as the permission that they need in order to do the things that let me finish my sentence then. Because we've always, like, let's use the Target, for example, the Target boycott. There were some people who were looking at it from Target's standpoint and was like, look, I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to lose all these people. So instead of saying, well, we're going to turn our back on black folks, right? Because that's what the administration, air quotes, I'm doing air quotes for people listening. Maybe they're saying, all right, well, we just ain't going to say, we're just going to apply, but we're really not going to change anything, right? We're just going to say diversity, equity, inclusion, we're moving on, but really not. They're just going to not say it to keep the administration off their backs, right? Are some of these companies trying that, or are they like literally, again, nah, we was gonna do this the whole time. Now we got an excuse.
There are definitely companies that is what they're doing. We're going to keep doing what we've always been doing. We might need to change these words, but the program isn't changing. That's not what I don't want to put Target in that category, because that's absolutely not the case with Target, and we're not going to litigate what's going on with Target.
Well, I was saying some people were saying that's what Target.
That's not the case for them. But there are companies out there, like Costco,
that have just changed the semantics on their.
Costco might have said, you know what, we don't want to fall foul of the U.S. government, so now, this Costco's word we may change. We may remove. You know, I don't know this to be the case, so maybe I shouldn't say Costco. I'll say Acme Corp. I'll say Acme Corp. We had these words that these words are now words that we can no longer say without having the federal government come after us for saying it. So can we find a synonym? Can we find a word that means the same thing but is not hot, and keep doing exactly the same thing that we've been doing for decades? Then I think some companies are absolutely doing that. Other companies are. In the case here with these big tech companies, here's what I believe about these big tech companies. Two things. If we keep moving into an authoritarian type situation, it seems like we're moving into, from my perspective, it's my opinion on this. So don't come for the Tech John or for StreamYard or whomever else. This is Rob saying this. This is my opinion that we're moving into an authoritarian type state. To have an authoritarian type state, the kind that we're moving into, you need to have oligarchs. Oligarchs tend to be the people who have all the money, and folks that are running these companies are the ones that are literally the richest people that Earth has ever seen. So from their standpoint, I think they might be doing a couple of things. Number one is like, let's stay on the good side of the federal government, at least how it is right now. And if those things continue to make shareholder profit for our shareholders, we're good with it. And if it continues to enrich me to where I literally now I'm oligarch and it don't really matter what anybody thinks, I'm going to do what I want to do because I literally have more money than some states have, then that's what I'm going to do. And like I said, I know that may be a cynical view, but that's just what I think. I think that's how
and I don't know that it even needs to be explained that in depth. They're in it for the money.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And some of them are a little power hungry. Peter Thiel's a little wacky, and envisions some society where he and all his so-called wannabe smart friends are the ones that get to make all the decisions. Like, you got those people like that are on the far extreme. Mm-hmm. But I think at the end of the day, we live in a capitalist society and they want to make money. Yeah. So they're going to do whatever they need to do and say whatever they need to say to whomever they need to do it or say it to continue to do that. I think they understand the power that they already have. I don't think they're worried about somebody flipping a switch and shutting them down, because they have the power to manipulate public opinion and public thought and public discourse, with the flip of a switch. So, yeah, I don't think it's that deep. I just think they're in it for the money, and
this is what is going to keep.
This is what it is for now.
Let's make all the money that the law allows.
If 4 years from now or 3.5 years from now, the pendulum swings back the other way, and people are like, we don't want
the trees.
They'll be like, oh yeah, we're gonna save trees now, and we're all for stopping climate change. Like, I just think they're. I was going to use a word, but I won't. They're just available for the highest bidder.
Yeah.
And for whatever is going to make them the most money and return the most shareholder value.
Yeah, I guess. Just need to. I guess my whole thing. Well, I mean, that's opposite of a company. So I was gonna say, just say that. We're gonna make as much money as freaking possible.
Listen. It is what it is. This is America. Nobody would hate on you for that.
No, that's my thing. Yeah. Everybody's like, well, we believe in our products that are close to family. It's like, man, cut all that out. Just say, look.
Yeah.
Well, we
want to allow a diverse range of perspectives. Mm-hmm. Now we want to allow a diverse range of perspectives. And it's like, no, that the company recognizes that these creators are among those shaping today's online consumptions, landing must-watch interviews, giving viewers a chance to hear directly from politicians, celebrity. That just means these people who may have had some abhorrent things to say, 6
driving
months
views.
ago, got millions of subscribers and are making us a lot of money.
Mhm.
Right.
So regardless of what they had said before, we gonna give them a quote unquote fresh start to come back on here and say the same shit because they're making us money.
Yep.
And that's just the bottom line.
And we can now.
And we can
Yeah.
now because we have an administration that is not going to stop us. So there it is.
Stop us. They encourage it.
Exactly. And
encourage it.
they'll be pushing out their own ridiculous ass content
And here's the
on
thing.
the platform as well. So
Let's say
there
that
you
there
go.
is another election that is fair and someone else wins. And the pendulum starts to swing back the other way. These companies will adjust to once again making all the money that they can. So if you
That's it.
so we brought up Target. If you think about why did Target get the ire of not just black folks but just folks who are like, it's really foul what y'all is doing, but it's generally, this has come from black folks that have just done this boycott against Target because Target went an extra mile and said, we're doing all these other things that no one even said that they needed to do. They made these pledges to do these things. And then when the pendulum swung, they said stuff that they actually came out and said that they were going to do that was independent of George Floyd and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff is dead now. It's like, no. We have memories. We can go back and see what you said, and we're going to make you pay for it. And Target is doing everything it possibly can, including firing CEOs, and somehow, I guess, when you get fired at Target, you get a job that makes more money, and you're now running the board or whatever. But let that be what it is. But they are trying to figure out, how do we get folks to look like us to come back into Target? They're absolutely trying to figure that out. How can we say what we need to say and not fall foul of the federal government, but also make it so that black people will come spend money here like they used to? They haven't figured it out yet, but
cake and eat it
they're
too.
trying.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
They're trying to figure it out. And I think all these other companies are cool. You know what? We didn't make all them pledges, so we just gonna shut down the stuff that we was doing. We'll take the heat for that, but we're gonna make all this money because of the lax stance of the federal government on what we do and what we say, and truth and fact and falsehoods and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, Steph, I had grabbed this story. It came out last week. I think it was early last week on the first thought, and I figured this would be one that you were definitely have something to say about. But 1 in 5 high schoolers has had a romantic relationship with artificial intelligence, or at least knows someone who has. I'm like, that's 20. That's 1 in 5 folks, 20%.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to get your take on that. That 1 in 5 high school kids is falling in love with fake robots.
That sounds about right. I wouldn't be surprised if it was higher. Honestly, it's funny. I think I saved a video. Y'all follow, what's that guy's name that does the Diary of a CEO podcast?
Stephen Bartlett, something
yeah,
Bartlett.
yeah. So he was talking to child psychologist, and I forget what the other guy did. But they were talking about how Grok, the first sort of avatar product that Grok put out, was an avatar called Annie, and just hypersexualized, whatever you want me to do, yada yada yada. And the one guy talked about 8-year-olds being exposed to pornography, 8-year-old boys. And that, again, because these guardrails are off, OpenAI will now allow smut, and this is where we are. And you have people that are chronically addicted to their devices. They don't know how to engage with people in real life, IRL. So they are turning to these artificially intelligently generated things to make a connection with anything and anybody. It's horrible and it's sad. We've already seen the consequence of it. There have been more than one suicide because of young people, and I think it's only been boys so far that have gotten attached to these avatars and chatbots, and it's not going to be we're not even at the tip of the iceberg with what's going to happen with our young people, because we're just not doing a good enough job of, media literacy, of monitoring, what they're doing, and understanding that. And I don't know what it's going to take to get parents, because it's only going to be parents. You're not going to legislate or regulate your way out of what we're in right now. It's only going to be until parents decide, number one, that an 8-year-old does not need a smartphone. That's number one. And number two, that we are going to set some limits and some boundaries in our household for how these devices get used and managed, and be very, very intentional about that. So, I just I'm not necessarily super optimistic. I think we haven't hit the bottom yet. But I hope something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know.
So is the lure to these AI relationships, is it just antisocial in general, or is it more the my assumption that men or boys are more lonely nowadays? Is it because that they were brought up that men and, well, girls, let's talk, if we're talking from a boy, girls are supposed to be a certain way, and these boys are then going out into the world, maybe junior high school, middle school, when you start to like women or like girls, like seriously, to where you want to have a girlfriend or whatever the case may be, when they start this, relationships and romance and stuff. Is it because they were trained to believe that girls are one way, and then they go out into the world and find out the girls are not that way? They may not just be, you know, they may be different than what they've been I don't want to say raised to believe. So as a result, they find themselves more lonely, and as a result, they find validation from an AI? Or is it just, this is what everybody's doing? Everybody loves Chat GPT. There's some folks who are just taking it too far. And as a result, we're getting all these people who are having these relationships with AI,
I
specifically boys.
I think it's that, maybe a little bit of both, but I think more so boys just aren't being socialized
Okay.
Yeah,
like
that's it.
normal people anymore.
Okay.
Like, honestly, you think about, your friend group, and how many, and how much interaction you have with real people. I think we severely overestimate the amount of time that kids spend with each other,
Okay.
engaging in actual back and forth,
Conversation.
face to face, sharing feelings and emotions, and supporting it. Like, I think
Okay.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's, at least for boys. I think girls still do a lot of that, but we've all seen a bunch of kids sitting together and they're all on their phones, and they may actually even be texting each other, but the
Mhm.
fact is they're not engaging with each other
Right.
in a significant way. And I think, boys just have not figured out how to, and they mature less quickly than girls do. So, I just feel like they, um it's easier, it's the path of least resistance for them to go down a digital rabbit hole
Hmm.
and engage with a chatbot that tells them that they're great and everything they do is perfect, and you're so smart and you're so handsome. And these chatbots are telling them all these different things that a real girl has never said to them.
And I
And
guess that's kind of my point. Do they believe? Do the boys believe that that's what girls are supposed to say to them? You're smart. You're
I
funny. You're
think
so
some of them
handsome.
do.
So
And then you
I
go
think
out in the
some of them
world, and
do.
girls is like, "Nah, man, I'm about to go to soccer practice. I ain't got time to be all up under
And
you."
you need to come with something that's going to make me actually want to like you,
Right.
besides,
And
yeah,
that
it's
was my
so
point. And now they're going out there, they're hitting this roadblock, and they're like, "Wait a minute, man, this way in the manual." So now, yeah,
here's one of the things that I have been seeing for years. And if you think about our generation, we're all Gen X. We had computers when we were young. We didn't have the internet like we have it now. I mean, we didn't have the web until the World Wide Web didn't exist until I was in college, or it at the level that it does now. I might have been high school, but it was college when we started looking at web pages and stuff like that. And I think what is starting to happen, it used to be that if you were, I'm not saying this to be sexist, but generally it's usually the boy that will say to the girl, hey, would you like to go out? Usually that's how it happens. Now, I know that young ladies are just as effective. If they see a boy that they like, I don't want to go out with you. It's saying that I know that is also a true thing, but usually it is the young man that is going to go and say to the young lady, "Hey, I think you're cute. I want you want to go steady with me. We go together. This and that, all that kind of stuff." That used to happen, and it was a relatively local event. If you were a boy, you had to physically talk to a girl, at least on the phone, but probably in person, to say, hey, you want to go to the dance with me? And it was a local event. The class might know that you got shot down and they would laugh at you. But now when that happens, the internet knows it. So to me, and I've heard young men say this, the risk of rejection is so much greater, because if I get rejected, it's not just the 17 people in the classroom that heard her shot me down. It's this 170,000 people on the internet that follow her that now know that I got shot down, and I don't even want to go through it. So that's part of it. Another part of it is that if you've never talked to a young lady, you have no idea how to talk to them, but you can just go online and you start talking, and whatever this thing that you're talking to is gassing you up and giving you all the things that are making you as a 12, 13, 14-year-old just feel as good as you possibly can about yourself, then that feeling, guys like to feel good too. If you're getting gassed up, you kind of forget, well, wait, this is not a real person. This thing that is a robot that is talking to me told me that it liked me, told me that it thought I was cute, thought that I had good ideas, it laughed at my joke. Those kind of
And the
things
problem
are
is
actually
you're catching them right there at that
right.
critical moment. You know what I mean? This is like a 12-year-old boy. Like the brain is not fully developed.
Decision making of these people is not
Decision
great.
making skills are non-existent. You know, and these companies know this. They know they're catching these boys at a moment where they could go left or right. They could go red pill or blue pill, as the internet says these days, and they go completely red pill, because again, it's the path of least resistance. Why would I do all of these other things when I'm already feeling all these different emotions? I'm going through puberty. I don't like myself. I don't know who I am as a person, but this computer loves me. You know, that girl wouldn't even look at me, give me a second glance, but the computer loves me. You know what I mean? You're making it real easy for them to choose something that most
Virtual.
people would be like, it's not even real. What are you talking about? But to
them is
It's real to
undeveloped
them.
psyche, and yeah, exactly. And it's so dangerous that these companies are doing this, and that parents, again, and I don't want to sound like I'm blaming parents, because it's a lot, and the technology is just advancing every day. We don't even know what these things are capable of, honestly, and we talk about it on a podcast. And so, but with that, you still have to be aware of what your kid is doing on the internet. You have to set some boundaries on how much time they get to spend, what they get to do, what they get to ask ChatGPT. OpenAI did add some new parental controls to ChatGPT recently. I don't know how great they're going to be, but and get your kid outside to touch some grass, like that's
That's a big part
honestly
of it too.
the thing. That's the thing that's gonna do it. You have to disconnect your child from their device, in that way, and get them outside in interacting with other people, in real life. Like, that's honestly, in my opinion, and like I said, I've been doing this for almost 20 years at this point. Like, that's really the only thing that's gonna make the significant impact that we need to kind of get these kids' mental health back in check, and everything else. You got to get them off these phones. Seriously.
Yeah, I was reading something not too long ago, and it said that this study was saying that on average, men prefer to be respected more so than they prefer to be loved. And some of the most disrespected folks on the planet are adolescent boys, because they just don't get a lot of things to where they're getting respect. So if you can build a bot that's just gassing these young men up and real people aren't doing that, then I want to spend my time talking to the bot. And now the problem becomes, okay, now you're in this world where you are typing everything to everybody. And now you get into that red pill, blue pill type conversation to where now all these women ain't doing this and they ain't this and they ain't that and they ain't this and they ain't this and they ain't, in the other, they're saying all these things. And you grow up not even liking women. It's like, there are young men. It's like, do you like women? It's like, they really
Well, they
don't.
don't even know what that
They don't even know what
means. You know
you're
what I
right.
mean?
You're
They
right. They
don't have
probably have
an
never
idea of
found it
what
out.
that even means.
But it's like
And
they go where they get gassed up. They go where they feel they're respected, and because of that, because that's what drives, according to some studies, most men they want that. They want to feel like they're respected. That's where they spend their time, as compared to spending their time in the real world.
And considering you got grown ass men marrying their AI avatars, this is not surprising. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate, but it's not surprising. And again, I'm not trying to make parents feel like they're failing, but we're not getting where we need to go with any sort of regulation, with any sort of, moderation, with any sort of parental controls, with any sort of lawsuits. I know we got a story in here about New York, putting a lawsuit out against the social media. It helps to raise awareness, but none of that gets our kids' mental health where it needs to be.
Yeah.
It has to be a directed, intentional, targeted parental effort to detach these children from these devices. Not to say they can't have a phone, they just don't need to be on the phone 6-7 hours a day, and until we can get parents to agree to that and not be like, well, I don't want my kid to be the only one that doesn't have a phone because everybody in my development has a phone, and if they don't have a phone, I don't care about them other kids. You know what I mean? Care about your own
Let's go
kid.
with your child can't have a phone during school. It's like study after study after
We can't
study
even
after
do
study
that.
after study shows that children who do not have access to phones in school do better because they don't
Yep.
have access to their phones. And you have parents saying, well, if there's an active shooter, I want to be able to call my child so that I can alert the shooters to where my child is. Literally, that is
Maybe our
how we think
gun
about
laws
stuff.
should be different. But that's a whole
Yeah,
nother
it's a whole other
conversation for another, you
conversation.
know what I mean? It just, but it really, it doesn't, we don't solve this until we can decouple children from their devices. That's it.
I did throw this NYC is suing social media companies for addicting children in here because it's related to this. These AI companies are not social media companies yet. It seems like with Sora they're trying to turn into them. So maybe some of these lawsuits will start going at the AI companies, but this is where we are. We know that this is an issue, and you literally have to have municipalities now suing these companies because of the addictive nature of social media, and I would imagine before too long the addictive nature of artificial intelligence. So, Steph, you can't say it until you get blue in the face. You've tried.
I'm gonna keep saying
Parents
it.
have to get involved on this. And I think a big thing is one of my nieces just started middle school, and they get in. It's like she's going to the club before they even walk in the door. They have teachers out there with like these carousels where you put your phone in the little bag, it closes, you got your number on it,
Little
and
yonder pouch.
you basically lock it in when you go, and then when you leave the day, you pick it up. And there are parents that are very upset with this. My child needs to be able to have their phone because if I need to
Send them
contact them,
to
I need
another
to contact
school.
them directly, and
Send them to
it's for
another school
safety.
then.
But yeah, and I mean, it's a private school, so that's how they're one of the reasons they're able to do it. But this study after study shows that if you do not allow your children to have phones in school, they do better. And here's the thing. We believe that people in American are unique from everywhere else. Well, we are in the fact that we live here and not everywhere else, but that's about where the uniqueness ends. People are kind of people everywhere. And if you look at all these other very, 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 very developed countries, some more than us, where they're saying, no, we're not allowing our children to have their phones during the day and they're thriving from it. Why do we just continue to look at that and say, no, but we're different?
Well, it's already happening. We're the brain drain here in
Yeah,
this country
yeah.
is significant. I was looking at a NPR article, I think, that said that, it's going to take 30 to 50 years to make up for the research we've already lost and will continue to lose, because of all of the grants that are being canceled,
Mhm.
the general anti-intellectualism that is permeating this country right now. Like, we are so far behind already, but we're just going to be that much further behind because these kids, you know, don't know how to read a real clock and different stuff like that, and just or spending too much time on these devices. So yeah, we're gonna see it. We
Yeah.
can all sit here and say, maybe not now, but 10, 20 years from now, we're gonna see the effects of all this screen time on not just the children that will now be adults, but just on society in general,
Mm.
and what we're able to do in this country and as a country. It's not gonna be pretty.
So, before we get out of here, I just wanted to get y'all's take on this on this last story here. So, over the last week or 10 days or so, Apple and Google both have been removing ICE spotting apps. So these are apps where you see an ICE agent, you can basically mark it down on a map where you saw them, and it aggregates all this. And the Department of Justice has come out and said we don't like these apps, and there's a bunch of them out there that do it, but these apps have been banned. And in the case of Apple and Google, they said, well, on these particular apps, it looks like they may be violating our terms of service. Don't know how, because every single app that is a mapping app out there allows you to flag where police are for speed traps, and that's somehow legal. And this is the exact same technology and is not being used any different than those apps are. But we'll leave that
Mhm.
be. But the thing I want to ask you about is that, what do you think about that? And then what do you think about Apple, who also is banning an app that isn't aggregating anything other than here is something, a bad thing that happened. We're just going to record it and archive it so that in case that the people want to come back and use it to sue, police or ICE or whatever the case is, they have it archived, and they've now come and banned that. And this is all at the behest of the federal government. Thoughts?
Well, unfortunately, this I wouldn't call this situation the same as the one we were talking about with, AI and everything, and companies just doing whatever they want to do to make money. I think this is the consequence of living in an authoritarian regime, under a quasi-fascist government. Like, sometimes you got to do they can strong arm you into doing what they want you to do, at the risk of whatever sort of consequence they might want to impose upon the company itself. So it's unfortunate that they can bully, the government can bully these companies into doing this. I, you know, I wish they would resist, because I think they have more power than I think they know they do. Um, but here we are. Welcome to
Yeah, I was gonna
2025.
say, do they even care to do that work? Because if they so quick to, change on a dime when it comes to any sort of civil unrest, then, why are we even surprised that Apple and Google would remove some of these apps that don't do anything any different than any other
Right.
app that's on the market? But I mean, clearly I don't think this is quid pro quo, rather, because outside of not getting tariffed to death, you know, these companies like, Apple and Google, I mean, what are on consumer facing, what are they getting out of the deal of bending the knee to Donald Trump outside
Right.
of you just, we ain't gonna talk about you today in the news? What I mean, outside of, I'm assuming there's a bigger calculated risk to this, but it's like, is it worth it?
Well, it's like, I think it's the same way they just, they'll do whatever they have to do as the wind blows to make the money. They also won't stick their neck out if it isn't going to make them money. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So it's just like, this, we don't have a dog in this fight either way. We don't want to bring any unwanted blowback on us from the government. So we'll just take it out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but it sucks because it's like y'all should have more of a backbone than that.
From what I'm reading and what I'm hearing people say, this is how authoritarian regimes start. They start taking rights away. So people would think, well, isn't it like the First Amendment? I'm taking a video of someone with an ICE uniform beating somebody over the head with a baton. I'm legally allowed to take a video of that. And I can post that video wherever I want. But if the place where I'm posting says, we don't want that kind of content on our platform, then where do I post it? Or they're saying, well, you know what? Here's an app that aggregates all of those type of videos. We're no longer allow those those type of apps to be on our platform because that's just not how we roll. These companies are private companies. They can say that they don't want that content there, so they can say it. The question is, it's like, if you're not fighting for your rights, you don't have rights to fight for. And that's kind of where we are right now. And like, so we're not going to turn this into the, into the political,
can't
John.
you do this on Snap Maps though?
I'm sorry?
Low key, can't you do this on Snap Maps?
We'll see how much longer you'll be able to do it on Snap Maps.
Tag folk and just
because
FYI.
Snapchat's not going away.
Allegedly, I feel like you might be able to do a similar thing on Snap.
But just think about what you're saying.
Do your thing.
We're going to make you jump through a hoop from an app that there's nothing illegal about the app. There's nothing illegal about you documenting what police are doing in the United States. You're just documenting it. We don't like that app. Okay, cool. We'll take it down.
Well, I just hope this shows that, true resistance. You can't do it from on the inside.
No.
And if we're saying Apple and Google are on the inside because they want to be oligarchs in this new authoritarian government, then y'all need to stop trying to download apps to do stuff that need to be off the grid. I just saw over the weekend, what's that movie with Tiana Taylor?
Her and
Taraji?
Yeah, no, her and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, it's about resistance and fighting against an oppressive government and things of that nature. It's like we call ourselves, we want to fight the revolution. You can't do that on no iPhone or no Android. You got to figure something else out, man, because they gonna lock it down. And then what you gonna do when they shut all the apps up?
Right.
Yeah. But y'all, it's we're at the top of the hour. We're actually a little bit past the top of the hour. It's a good show this week, but we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. But before we do, I do want to let folks know that if you would like to support the Tech John, you can do so by heading over to thetechjohn.com/Patreon, where you will find multiple tiers that you could become a member of. And depending on what tier you get in, you get various benefits based on those tiers. Everyone who becomes a patron gets access to our live stream and our after party. And most of those tiers over there get access to an ad-free RSS. So if you don't want to have to listen to ads at the beginning, in the middle, and the end of the show, they just aren't in the show if you are a patron on one of the tiers that does allow you to have RSS with no ads. So once again, head over to patreon.com/thetechjohn or thetechjohn.com/Patreon. Both of those links work, and we appreciate you if you come and support us. So with that being said, Tech Life Steph, tell folks how they can get at you.
You can follow me all around the web at Tech Life Steph, or head to my website at stephaniehumphrey.com and sign up for my newsletter.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And I am at Robb Dunewood on all things. And we're also at the Tech John, the Tech JAWN on all the things. So come holler at us however you holler. And until we meet again in a week's time. Peace.